Thank you, Mitch. This is the June 18th, 2020 meeting of the Rockport Planning Board. It's the first meeting we've had since February 20th.
Yeah.
I thought it would be a good time to have a meeting for a few reasons, just to kind of update the members and the public on certain things that have been going on. And also, this is the last meeting of two of our longstanding board members. So I thought it was fitting to have a meeting honoring them. So the first thing, it'll be a short meeting, so no one will take a lot of time, is to approve the minutes of February 20, 2020, which is the meeting of our last minutes of our last meeting where we stopped meeting. So hopefully everyone has read those minutes. And are there any corrections, changes, or additions to the meeting minutes from February 20th?
One thing,
Yes.
under member items, Boot Hill Road, there are two paragraphs. The second paragraph is not about Boot Hill Road.
Okay.
It should have a separate heading like B, contract planner or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. We can do that. Yeah, and that's something we'll talk about today too. So, okay. Other than that, are there any other additions, deletions, or changes? Given that, do we have a motion to approve the minutes of February 20, 2020 with the change that Tom has recommended?
So moved.
Second,
That's a motion by Hank, second by Tom. All in favor? Aye.
do a roll call.
Oh, roll call, right. We have to do a roll call. Okay, Herm.
No, I was not there.
Oh, you weren't there. Okay, fine. Hank,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes,
Terry.
I was absent.
You were absent too, so there's just the three of us. Yeah, I vote yes, so motion carried. Meeting minutes of February 20th, 2020 are approved. So the next item on the agenda is, I just put down as administrative matters. Couple of things. First of all, I did circulate the RFP that Mitch prepared based on a draft. We had gone back and forth. I sent him a draft, and this is an RFP for a consultant to assist the planning board in review, kind of a global review of the zoning bylaws, which is probably due considering the fact that this hasn't been done, from what I understand, for a long time, if ever. And we don't have a lot of other items on our agendas recently, and we may not for the future. So this is a really good time for the board to dig into something like this. Mitch, you want to talk about this a little bit, what you've done and
Sure.
about, yeah.
The ad ran in the Gloucester Times today, and sorry, hang on one second. Let me just turn off the radio. Okay. The ad ran in the Gloucester Times today, advertising it. It's up in Combis, which is the state procurement portal, and it's set to run in Monday's version of the Goods and Services Bulletin. So it's been advertised and posted. It's also set to run, I think they're just waiting on a final date, in the American Planning Association, Massachusetts chapter of that, on their site. So it's available for distribution starting on Monday. It's open for approximately 30 days for individuals to submit RFPs. That's our standard amount of time. So it closes July 24th at 1 p.m. At that point, at 1 p.m., we'll open up all of the RFPs that have been received and proceed forward with the review process. So the board makes the selection based on most responsive and responsible bidder. So they're required to provide their background, the background of the individuals working with them, everything you need to make a decision if they're qualified and capable of doing the work. So hopefully it will get some activity. I think that at this point, there are not a lot of towns that have restarted their procurement processes. So I'm hoping that that means there'll be people hungry for the work. We're not really competing with many people at this point on the local government level. So hopefully that means you get many quality candidates and many, competitive pricing.
Yeah.
As well.
And Mitch, do you think we'll be able to make use of the unused funds that are in the 2019, 2020 budget? We have approximately, I think, $34,000 for a planner, which we didn't use. Do you think we'd be able to take advantage of that?
Yes, so I would anticipate that an encumbrance will be processed for the money that's remaining in that line. Because we've issued the RFP in this fiscal year, you'll be able to encumber those funds subject to accounting sign off. And then as you and I discussed, Mr. Chair, there we'll have enough in FY21 budget for you to have at least $50,000 available for the project.
Terrific.
So you don't need a purchase order in FY20? The RFP is good enough?
The RFP is good.
Great.
And we're trying to be flexible closing this year out because of COVID. We've got a lot of things going on. So that should be sufficient in this case.
So is the RFP finalized? You reviewed it with Jason and all?
Yes, the content is finalized. It'll look, the people who pick it up or who it gets sent out to, it'll, it's plugged into a template, but the content is as the chair and I have reviewed.
Okay.
And you got, by the way, all of you have the copy of it because I circulated it, sometime either at our last meeting or just before that.
A long time ago, I thought that was a draft, so I didn't know what happened.
Well, it was
since
a draft, but it's, I don't think there were many changes.
then. Okay, yeah, look good.
For the language.
There was a copy sent out by Miri.
Yeah.
So you have a recent copy of it that's been sent. So
Okay.
I assume it's dated 6/18. Well, that's cost of time 6/18/20. I assume that's the document.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Ad.
that's probably the ad.
That's the ad.
The ad is different.
How different?
So the
How
ad is
different is the ad going to be? I mean,
just the notice. The ad is basically just telling people that it's available and that they can request it. I'm assuming, Mr. Chair, what you sent out matches what we had. Same thing.
Yeah. From what I remember, it was pretty much the same as what all the planning board members got.
could you resubmit?
I'm sorry.
Could you resubmit?
Yeah, sure.
Fine.
I mean,
Okay.
it's basically kind of giving the potential candidates an outline of what's going to be expected of them in terms of, their participation in public hearings. And so there won't be any surprises when they, put in their bid but this will be a good thing to do. And by the way, Herm, I know both Herm and I have been contacted by Chris Kuschel, who most of you remember was the Massachusetts Planning Association, Metropolitan Planning Association, who helped with the TOD. And he contacted us trying to find out what was going on with the TOD. And I did talk with him and just said that, we're doing this kind of global review, hopefully of the bylaws, and included with that will be that, the area that was the subject of the TOD. So, I mean, that's a long way down the road, but at least he knows what's going on.
I just looked back, the draft RFP was February 12th.
Yeah, just before our last meeting.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So we looked at it before then.
So I'll resend it and everyone can take a look at it. One other item for administrative matters is two of our board members, Hank and Terry, this is going to be your last meeting. You've done great service to the planning board and to the town for many years, and it's really, really appreciated. I'll be very sorry, and I know the other board members feel the same way. I'll be very sorry to lose both of you. It will definitely be a different board come July than what it is now. And we wish you well and thank you very much for your service to the planning board and to the town of Rockport. That being said, Mary, in her usual way, I said, you're going to do something for these two guys, aren't you? And she said, yeah. So what Mary has done, as all of you know, Mary was very big on getting cakes for special occasions, and they were always wonderful. So what Mary has done is given us, I don't know if you can see this. Oh, it's not coming up very well, but it's a virtual cake.
Is it a cat?
It doesn't come out. It's a chocolate cake with strawberries and whipped cream on it. Well, Mary made this cake.
Very good.
It looks very strange the way I'm holding it up here, but you can kind of see the whipped cream and the chocolate and maybe even a little of the strawberries.
Oh, yeah.
She also wrote again, this might be difficult. I don't know what's.
You need to back up.
It's a thank you note.
It's your background, yeah.
Yeah, it's so I'm trying to get it right, but it's kind of melding into my moonrise here. So
Probably move it back away from the.
yeah, I'm trying to, but it's like invisible. It's very odd. So anyway, it's a thank you note, a big thank you to both of you, and I wish you well. And we're gonna miss.
Oh, there it is.
And we'll
I
see.
got some.
We'll see what happens.
I'd like to,
Next
I'd
time.
like
Tom,
to chime-
Tom, hey, Tom, you never look better, buddy.
I would like to chime in and thank the two of them, right, Terry, for their efforts. They were specifically on my watch more than
All right.
during the last year. And you were given tasks. You performed very well for the board and the town. And it was great to be able to do as much as we did in that period of time.
Did a lot.
Because we did come up with some very good proposals and managed to get them all passed by the town, which is even better.
Yeah.
So thanks to the two of you.
Yeah.
Let me add, you came on Herm's watch, but as the new guy, I had to watch out for you too.
So
Speaking for myself, I enjoyed every minute of it, even the arguing and everything like that. What I like the best is what I was mentioning before about Toby, which is, I never felt like any of this stuff was personal. We'd argue about different strategies and whatnot in there, but everybody left, hopefully still friends, which to me, that was the most important part.
okay, very good. Thank you, guys. Okay. Any other comments from any board members?
I actually have a question. So this payment of bills authorization form that Mary sent out, it's for fiscal year 2021, which I am now not going to be on the planning board. So do you need that signature back from me?
Yeah, these were the signatures, just to, Mitch, maybe you can address this. The signatures of the board members, which are basically authorizing me to sign the bills. And two of the board members, Hank and Terry, aren't going to be on the board. So they question whether they should sign it or we should wait and have whoever is on the board, I don't know who it'll be, next month to sign these things.
So you could do it either way. The majority isn't changing, and it's very typical that the chair is the authorized signature. So if the majority wants to proceed, you could do it now, and Hank and Terry, it'd be up to you if you wanted to sign, or the board could wait and do it after the election. In this case, especially since it's very quiet right now, there's not a lot of bills coming in. You could wait or do it either way.
So whatever you guys want to do, it's not going to be an issue no matter.
I have it sitting here. I just didn't know if it was gonna clutter, so I'll just send it along then.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you too.
This is
Along.
usually done after the new chair has been elected.
Yeah.
And not before. So consequently, the order of business typically is for the first meeting to be held, the new chair to be elected, and then that form is signed by the members of the existing board at that point.
That's fine. We can wait till then. There are no bills anyway, so that's fine. Okay. We are now in the public comment period. Are there any members of the public who want to comment, with the understanding that comments as per our regular meetings are limited to 3 minutes and should be directed to planning board issues?
Okay, Mr. Chair, Zena Sepula has his hand up. Z, go ahead and unmute.
Are you going to take care of that, Mitch?
Okay, Z.
Yeah, thanks for that generous 3 minutes. Seeing as I'm the one of the only 2 members in the audience, it's really appreciated. Anyway, what I want to talk about is I would like to request that the planning board initiate a tree replacement study in the town. And the reason why is, like, if you can take some of your time and make a site visit down to the north end of Back Beach, you'll see the remains of a 74-year-old tree that was cut down in 2017. It was about 30 inches in diameter. I estimate it was planted in 1943 from counting the rings. And the reason why I would like to think that the planning board should take notice of things like this is because it was a special iconic tree that cast shade, one of the only trees in Rockport that ever did cast shade on a beach. I can't think of any others. And anyway, for the last 3 years, I've been going to DPW meetings to see about getting it replaced. And there has been always a concern that, they didn't have the time or the effort or whatever. Anyway, they were given some donated trees earlier this year, and I asked about whether or not one of them could be put in that place. And I was told at the end of this 3-year process that they had looked at it, Joe Parisi and one of the commissioners, and determined that it was not a suitable site for one of these trees. There's been some discussion on the DPW about having tree experts, people that really do know something about growth habits and stuff like that, but that hasn't come to fruition. So I'm thinking about long-range plans and the planning board being the only town agency that is concerned with long-range planning, to think about looking at possible places where trees will likely come down and should be replaced.
Can I answer that for you, Z?
Yeah, Terry, you're a good one for that.
So 2 things. One is Hank's got a nice tree by his beach, so maybe we could use one of those.
Right.
But seriously, Stephanie Wolf on the beautification committee and the DPW have been discussing that site you're talking about, Z, among other sites. And not that there's a plan in place, but they already do have a list of suitable plant material that could go both there and to replace one of the trees at Front Beach also. So, I'll agree with you that they've been dragging their feet, the DPW, but we did take a look at that, I think like 2 years ago, maybe. So Stephanie Wolf is really the person that you maybe should talk about with the tree thing. She is, and Mitch, if you disagree, chime up, but she is very, very nice, but very, very persistent. She eventually gets things done. She knows it's a long process and she keeps at it. So I put my faith in Stephanie.
And what, Terry, what's her role? Is she just a
So
private?
there's a committee called the Beautification Committee,
Mhm.
which is not the garden club. It's a separate thing. And it looks at larger scale projects and not necessarily just plant material. It could be a combination of different things. The way that Front Beach, the set up at Front Beach that's there now sort of came out of that committee. The little park down by Hank, that came out of that committee. So there's a lot of things that she's involved in, kind of quietly, but she definitely addressed that particular zone down there that Z is talking about at
Yeah.
Bank Beach.
Z, does that help you out?
No, but
doesn't?
thank you, Terry.
Just letting you know that somebody actually is on it. That's all.
I appreciate it, Terry. I appreciate what you've told me. The excuse given was that they didn't think that it could support a tree, the area down there.
Well,
And-
we know that that's not true because that other tree was there forever.
That's right.
Yeah.
And, you know, if it's a case of like getting rid of the old tree to make room for a new one, then there's any number of things they could do. I was even thinking they could have a mini bonfire there instead of a bonfire this year and burn the thing out, you know? But
No, they have the capability to take that other stump out of there. That's not a problem. Yeah.
so anyway, you know, I just think that I was disappointed that after 3 years, I got the excuse that, or the explanation, to be polite, that they didn't think it was a suitable location.
Well,
I really,
Well, the trees that they got the donation for, those were not suitable for that location.
well, maybe.
Yeah. That part I'll agree with. I wasn't at the meeting, so I don't know exactly what
Yeah,
they said,
yeah.
but the trees they got were not suitable for that spot.
Okay, well, if we ever get Mitch on our recordings and get these recordings, you can watch them in your leisurely retirement, Terry. and then you can join me and Toby in being on the other side.
And the hecklers row? Okay.
Yeah.
Steve,
Okay, thank you, Steve.
they're up on the COVID-19 updates page. On the left, there's a recorded Zoom meetings tab, and there's a decent amount on there. A couple more are being added each week, but there's
I'll take a look. Thanks.
Jason, could I add?
Tom,
Yeah, I understand there's a draft tree policy that's been presented for consideration by the selectmen. I don't know how far along that's gotten. Mitch, you've gotten that from Don Southard?
Yes, so the selectmen did a first read on it in, I want to say, late January, maybe. And then COVID came, so it hasn't moved since then. They did a first review, and it was, if I recall correctly, there was general agreement with it. I think there were a few adjustments they wanted to make. It's been, at this point, probably close to 6 months. But in principle, they were behind it, and it just needed some cleanup. So once we get back into a little bit more normal business and operations, that'll become an active matter again.
I saw an earlier draft of it, and I think it did have some language about tree replacement. And I think there was even a request for an a tree warden who might be an arborist.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that too, Tom. Yeah, there used to be a tree warden.
Yeah.
And he was part of the DPW.
Yeah.
I can't remember if they have, what's his name, Osmond. Is he considered the tree warden now?
He is.
Yeah. I don't know that he's an arborist though.
Mm.
No.
Right. So I think, Tom, to your point, I think the point was to have an actual arborist as the tree warden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if
That
this
would-
comes into effect, then maybe that addresses some of what Z's looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
It did. It did talk about caliper of the tree being for replacement, things like that.
Yeah.
okay, well, it's good discussion and something worth following up. Are there any other comments from members of the public?
Any other comments? Please use the hand raise function or raise your hand in your video.
Doesn't look like it, huh, Mitch?
Nope, that's it.
I did have, I've got a comment, not public. Jason.
Yeah.
I want to, about two months ago, Tom and I talked about continuing working on the lighting amendment bylaws, and I haven't done anything. But Tom, I'll get back to you. While I'm not going to be on the board, I still am interested in doing lighting, continuing that effort to deal with commercial lighting and all that stuff. So I haven't gone away, Tom. I'm just preoccupied by being locked up. So
Well, you're still official to the end of June, I think. So
They'll get it done by then.
I'll be part of a subcommittee working offline with you.
Yeah.
But I'd like to continue. We need to.
Yeah, that's probably one of the more important things that,
We actually have an opportunity to make Rockport a dark sky community without. I mean, it might take. I'll be dead before that all happens, but it's worthy of continuing down that road.
I did mention that to the committee doing the new DPW facility, and they, I believe, are going to try to abide by
Yeah,
the residential, even though it didn't specifically apply to municipal buildings.
yeah, good.
good, very good. Okay, if there are no further comments, then we would need a motion to adjourn.
Next meeting?
Next meeting will be, well, first and third Thursdays. So I think it'll be the first Thursday because we will, at the next meeting, perhaps have some new board members. I don't know because no one's on the ballot right now.
Wow.
We'll be selecting a chairman for the upcoming year. So the next meeting will be the first Thursday of July.
Is that after the election?
The election is June 30th.
Oh, yeah. So the second, that's just 2 days later.
Yeah. So we'll
I'm
see.
game.
Well, like I said, there are no people on the ballot. So if we're going to get any new board members, it's going to be through some write-in campaign and see what happens. All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion is second. Moved by Tom, seconded by somebody,
I'll
Second.
seconded by,
Terry quit. It's yours, Terry.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Mitch, thank you for your assistance here, invaluable. And
Thanks, Mitch.
see you next month. And thank you two guys, Hank and Terry. Thanks again.
Been fun.
Okay.